and collaborative. We come from Indonesia and for the world, our spirit created for you. Being your choice is our pride. Fulfill your needs is our spirit.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to PJB Connect 2021. The Honorable Mr. Rawan Insani, as Finance Director of PT PJB, the Honorable Mr. Eric Sher, as Chief Assessor at the Center for Global Cooperation at the Danish Energy Agency, the Honorable Mr. Beni Suryadi, as Manager of the Power Generation, Fossil Fuel, Alternative Energy, and Energy Storage Department of the Asean Center for Energy, the Honorable Mr. Yosi Noval, as Operation Director 1 of PT PJB, and all of the audience who accepting the invitation, thank you for participating in this event. Such a pleasure to meet again in the 2021 PJB Connect series, welcoming PJB's 26th anniversary and 76th National Electricity Day. PJB again present the PJB Connect exhibition. The PJB Connect 2021 activities consist of exhibition and conference on technology and electricity products. This event will be attended by PJB Group employees, PJB Group Pel and Group employees, academics, researchers, electricity observers, government, and public. To inform you, this year's PJB Connect is the sixth event since it was first held in 2016. This event takes place on 22 until 29 October 2021, where you can enjoy virtual exhibition and e-conference by accessing www.pjbconnect.com. First, we urge the audience to use the virtual background and fill in the attendance list as provided by the committee in the chat room. And participants also can ask questions through the chat, and there will be interesting door prizes for those who you are lucky. So before we start, I would like to invite all of the audience to sing the National Anthem. Thank you for your time. I would like to invite Mr. Rawan Insani as Finance Director of PT PJB to give an opening speech for today. So, Mr. Rawan Insani, if you may please.
Thank you, Ms. Vania. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. The Honorable Mr. Eric Jar, Chief Advisor at the Center for Global Cooperation at the Danish Energy Agency, Mr. Benny Suryadi, Manager of the Power Generation, Fossil Fuels, Alternative Energy, and Energy Storage of the Asean Center for Energy, Mrs. Chita Devi, Planning and Engineering Renewable Energy Executive Vice President of PTPLN, Mr. Yoshi Noval, Operation Director 1 of PJB, and all audience welcome in this event. Thank you to each of you for being here with us today. Before we begin, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to all of you who generously helped us make this event a success. We couldn't do it without you. In commemoration of the 26th anniversary of PT Pemanggitan Jawa Bali, we are proud to be able to hold this conference today as one of the events at PT PJB Connect 2021. Today, PJB is holding a conference on energy transitions, fossil energy transition to renewable energy, a lesson learned from European and ASEAN for decarbonization. Some mixed progress on the energy transition with regard to the renewable energy comprising of cost of renewable energy have continuously declined rapidly. Large economies are increasingly powered by renewables. Global electricity market are constantly evolving to meet the growing demand of renewable energy. In addition to it, recently, the RUPTL 21-2030 has been ratified. This is a greener RUPTL than before because the portion of the addition of new and renewable power plant is 51.6% larger than the addition of fossil generators of 48.4%. Ladies and gentlemen, energy has a vital in the progress of human civilization. According to the RUPTL 2021 till 2030, we must increase the renewable energy mix in our generation. The energy transition is path to the transformation of the global energy sector from fossil-based to zero carbon. Energy transition must take into account security of supply, sustainability, and affordability issues. This energy transition will be made possible with the support of information technology, smart technology, policy frameworks, and market instruments. The energy transition is very important, not only looking for new energy resources, but also saving the planet from threats, such as global warming and climate change. Ladies and gentlemen, presumably, this is all speech that I can convey. For all the messages and words that are not pleasing you, whether are intentionally or not, I apologize profusely. We hope this conference can encourage us to realize clear energy in the future. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Rawan Insani. As we'll continue, I would like to invite all the speakers, moderators, all of the audience to take photos together first. So please turn on your camera and we'll take a picture together. Okay. Okay, we'll take a picture on my cue. Okay. Okay. On my cue, let's pause with thumbs up. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. To proceed to the main event, please let me introduce the speaker for today. The first speaker, Mr. Eric Kier, as Chief Advisor at the Center for Global Cooperation at the Danish Energy Agency. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Yes, hello everyone. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Okay. The second speaker, Mr. Benny Suryadi, as Manager of the Power Generation, Fossil Fuel, Alternative Energy, and Energy Storage Department of the Asean Center for Energy. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Good. Good afternoon, everyone. Selamat siang. Thank you very much for having me.
Okay. The third speaker, Mr. Yosi Noval, as Operation Director 1 of PT PJB. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Good afternoon. Fine, thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for being here to share your knowledge to the audience. It's such a pleasure to host a conference with many inspirational and extraordinary people like today's speakers. So next, entering the main session of this conference, I will invite the moderator to guide the activities. So for Mr. Indra Novardiansyah, please.
Thank you, Fania, for the chance for today. So should we start? Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming and watching PJB Connect to 2021. For this session, topic is very interesting. It's regarding about fossil energy transition to renewable energy. As we know, from politician to corporate executive, media commentators, also to environmental campaigner, narratives evoking the unstable progress of global transition from fossil fuel to renewable energy have grown increasingly commonplace. However, in reality, the global shift in energy production, energy usage, and greenhouse gas emission urgently need are not happening. As we know, in 2019, over 80% of global primary energy demand came from fossil fuel. In 2020, wind and solar accounted for just 10% of global electricity generated. Despite the story of its decline, coal-fired power generation continued to rise globally. In 2020, global effort to decommission coal power plants were offset by the new coal power plants commissioned in China alone. Recently, people have argued that the COVID-19 pandemic and subsequent contraction in economic activity can give a signal, a turning point. But indeed, global energy demand fell by nearly 4% in 2020, while global energy-related CO2 emission fell by 5.8%. Despite this short-term shift, the pandemic has failed to result in any significant long-term change for the energy sector or associated emission. That's why for today, and for today's session, we would like to hear any specific or particular information from the expert of the energy transition from fossil fuel to renewable energy. Before we start, I would like to introduce all the speaker. First, for the Mr. Eric Kier. Do I spell your name correctly, Mr. Eric Kier?
That's absolutely fine. Just call me Eric. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Eric. He is a chief advisor at the Center of Global Cooperation at the Danish Energy Agency, and he is an energy sector professional with more than 35 years experience. He has worked globally with wind energy, including offshore, for more than 15 years, covering aspects such as a project development, regulatory framework, performance, and grid integration. And for the second speaker, I would like to introduce Mr. Benny Suryadi, a manager of Power, Fossil Fuel, Alternative Energy, and Energy Storage Department at the ASEAN Center for Energy. He leads various programs and studies to support the countries in the energy transition under the umbrella of the ASEAN Plan of Action for Energy Cooperation, a regional blueprint on energy cooperation. And for the last speaker, our host director, Mr. Yosi Noval, as Operation Director 1, PT Pembangkitan Jawa Bali. So without any further ado, let's give us a welcome for our first speaker, Mr. Eric Kyer, to give us some particular information about the energy transition in Denmark, a study case. Mr. Eric, time is yours. Excuse me, Mr. Eric, you're still unmute. I think you're still mute. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. It's an honor and it's a pleasure to join your conference here today. I'm sorry I could not be there in person, so I'm joining from Denmark. I hope you're seeing my my screen now.
Yes, it's good now. You can
It is good.
proceed. Yeah, you can proceed.
Okay. Thank you. Let me try to run you through the case of green transition in Denmark, a small country in Northern Europe, where you should think of us as a laboratory for the green transition.
Excuse me, Mr. Eric, can you make it a slideshow for the presentation because it's still on your files? Yeah. All right, that's good.
Is it good now? Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
it's good.
Before I head into the case of Denmark, let me just say a few words about the close Indonesian and Danish energy cooperation over the years. We have worked together for quite some time on energy plans for Indonesia, on energy outlooks, and securing the integration of larger amounts of renewable energy and decoupling the economic growth from energy demand. So we're very, very proud to be cooperating with Indonesia on this important journey. Our main partners are the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources and PLN. And with that, let me go to Denmark. Consider this the green laboratory. Where we are right now, the top part of the slide here is that we have 47% of our total power consumption generated by wind energy. We have a very low curtailment and a very high security of supply. But the more interesting part is where we are headed. In our plans already in 2030, the power sector will be totally decarbonized. We will have 100% green power by 2030. And taking that one step further to 2050, then the total economy will be net zero. And that also entails that already by 2030, we will reduce our greenhouse gas emissions by 70% compared to 1990. So a quite ambitious plan. Let me take you through a journey that we have made since 1995, or even earlier than that. This was spurred by the energy crisis back in the 70s, where oil prices suddenly went crazy. And that, to begin with, prompted Denmark to convert its oil-fired generation to coal. And by 1995, we had achieved that to a very large degree. As you can see, 95% fossil fuels in the power generation at that point. By 2005, we got quite a bit of wind energy into our system. We started experimenting with small turbines and support schemes, and also with biomass in power generation. And this has now moved on. 2014, we had 41% wind. In 2020, it's more than half with biomass, solar PV, and other covering a good share as well. And fossil has gone down to 21%. And by 2025, the fossil share will be reduced to something like 10% only. So this is actually what has been achieved so far. It's a very ambitious decarbonization agenda. And since I'm assuming we have a lot of power professionals online, I would like to give you a few more numbers, and apologies for that. This slide shows, and this is from our TSO, our transmission system operator in Denmark, Energinet, shows how our total consumption has evolved over the years, and also the composition of different sources. In the future, we're expecting that we will have a steep incline in our electricity demand due to the electrification agenda. In fact, towards 2050, we will more than double our electricity consumption. And that also involves our peak load, of course, and our exchange capacity that would be interconnectors to neighboring countries. The thermal generation that you see here is based on biomass going forward, so it's not a coal-fired or oil-fired, no fossils. We have a very liquid and well-developed power market, spot market in Northern Europe, all of Europe, in fact. And let me here give you a little bit of a flavor of what has happened in the marketplace. The bottom figure here shows a typical week in our system, and you can see the top of the curve demonstrates the total demand for electricity. And you can see the colors represent the composition of that generation covering demand. And in some cases, you can see that the generation of wind actually covers more than our entire demand. For instance, the night between Tuesday and Wednesday, we go below zero, and this means that there will be export of power out of Denmark. If you look at the top curve here, the spot price, you can see prices go very low during those hours where we have excess generation of renewables. And that's exactly expected. That is the portfolio effect of near zero marginal cost generation like wind energy. We can only achieve this due to our very high interconnection capacity. But here again, regard Denmark as one of the electricity systems in your vast and beautiful country. So you have a lot of options to interconnect and help with that integration. Yes, moving on. Some of the learnings that we had, long-term, stable, inclusive and transparency policies and measures have been absolutely instrumental. We have had the fortune that energy policy in Denmark has never become the battlefield of different opinions politically. So there's a broad agreement on the direction and the strategies, meaning that they don't change every 4 years when a new government comes into office. Demonstration projects have been very useful to us. They do provide a lot of inspiration about technical and also regulatory solutions, what works well, what needs to be adjusted. We worked a lot with incentives. We are quickly fading them out. Subsidies, taxes, CO2 prices. The last one, CO2 prices, have a role to play also going forward, of course. Competition, it has played a very huge role in our place. We have liberalized the electricity sector some 20 years ago, and that has helped us get an optimal economic solution. Yes, permitting, risk allocation, and de-risking is, of course, also very important learnings on our side. And as I mentioned, the CO2 emissions trading scheme has been a driver, and it is so increasingly now because prices are actually now going up, and we have we think that has a big role to play going forward to drive the decarbonization. Competition, as mentioned, generators are free to focus on competing on their generation cost, their marginal cost, and they are also an integral part of the neighboring countries' markets, and this in turn has created a very vibrant offshore wind industry, because offshore wind is one of the main pillars of our system going forward. We have a wonderful wind resource, very long coastline, shallow waters, and so that is the natural choice for a country like us. We've had maintained a state ownership of the main utility in Denmark, but at arm's length, making them participate in the market at equal terms as others. And the market is a real opportunity. It does open up a lot of new opportunities in terms of new products, the balancing, various balancing products, flexibility measures, and yes, I would encourage you to read on in a publication we have recently issued on the liberalization of the main Danish utility, now called Ørsted. I will provide a link to this. This is the report, that the front page of that report, From Black to Green, showing how a utility can transition to renewable energy and how they can even become very profitable in that journey. Yes, with those links here, and I'm sure we can share the slides to everyone, so you have the links. With that, I would like to finalize my presentation, and thank you very much for your attention.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Eric. It is very interesting, your presentation regarding how the Denmark already transition its energy from the fossil to renewable energy. There are actually two questions for me. Like in your presentation, you said like already almost 50%, right? In 2019, the consumption of energy in Denmark using the wind energy, right? And is it, how do you maintain the system actually, I mean, in Denmark, in particular for the base load, using almost 47% up to 50% wind energy. And the second one, the one that make me interesting, is about the incentive that the Danish government offer when it's come to for the renewable energy. How do you manage such as the subsidies and also the taxes itself?
Thank you. Would you like me to answer now?
Yeah.
Yes. So
Yes.
The balancing of the system, your first question, is done in a very clever way, I believe, using both very advanced forecasting tools. Wind energy is not intermittent; it is forecastable. So you can actually forecast day-ahead generation with a very large degree of accuracy, and you can plan your day-ahead operations in a smart way, using interconnectors, using the marketplace to ensure that you maintain your balance. We have proven that it can be done, and we're very keen to share those learnings with Indonesia. On the second question, the support schemes that we've had over time, we have developed wind for some 40 years now, and offshore wind for 30 years. And over that time, we have given what some would call generous support schemes to advanced technology, and those are being ramped out now because renewables are becoming competitive. They're actually the cheapest form of new generation in our part of the world, and in many other parts, I would say. So this means that the need for support is quickly diminishing, and even offshore wind, we are seeing, does not need support beyond the marketplace prices. But maybe they need some revenue stabilization mechanisms. That is another thing, but it's really very limited support that is required. I hope that answers the two questions. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Eric. Maybe actually we should proceed to a second speaker. Let's welcome Mr. Benny Suryadi from Department Asean Center for Energy for his presentation today. Mr. Benny, time is yours.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon again, everyone. So I'm sharing my screen. Would you mind to confirm whether you can see it clearly now? So I'm starting with the introduction. As I'm speaking on behalf of the Executive Director, Dr. Nuki Agia Utama, who is unfortunately not able to join the events today. But in these 10 or 12 minutes, I will speak about the energy transition in ASEAN that reflects the roadmap of the 10 countries on its efforts towards low carbon development. But a short introduction about the institution that I'm working for is the ASEAN Center for Energy. It's part of the structure under the Association of the Southeast Asian Nation. We represent the interests of the 10 countries in the Southeast Asia region working on the energy cooperation for the integration of the energy system in the region. And as 10 countries has a diverse situation, be it economic development or the energy resource, renewable energy potential, each country has their own specific situation and priority. That's why at the ASEAN level, we address and adopt the principle of the all fuels policy, meaning to say that we are responded to all type of the energy, be it on the conventional or the traditional hydrocarbon, such as coal, oil, and natural gas, as well as to move toward renewable energy, a green part, or also the efforts on energy efficiency. And to some context, is also involved on the work, the discussion and development on the civilian nuclear energy, because some country in this region is considering or including nuclear power plant as part of their energy transition as well. And I'm speaking about a regional perspective, not individual countries. So last year, we conducted some kind of a simulation projecting the energy demand of the 10 countries in the Southeast Asia region. So we developed the models based on 4 scenarios. So we look at various options, various policies that are already existing in 8 of the countries like Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia, and all of the countries, be on their priority scenario, having a national target, or to regional scenario where collectively we want to achieve a target together, not only as the individual countries, but as the cumulative effort of the 10 countries. This is an ongoing trend, so the country should no longer look the national energy planning as a standalone countries, but is looking into an integrated effort with neighboring countries, or to a larger extent to the other countries in the region. We model 4 scenarios, and unfortunately, that's based on the scenario that we have. Whatever the scenario that being adopted in ASEAN for the next 20 years, of course, this is not including the recent development with the PDPs in Indonesia that Parman Ravani mentioned earlier. But whatever the scenario that the countries have for the next 20 years, unfortunately, that fossil fuel, the traditional hydrocarbon, will continue to play a significant role in the energy mix. To some context, we will be able to reduce the amount of the energy supply and energy demands, but the portion of fossil fuels, traditional hydrocarbon, remains significant. If the ASEAN is pushing its higher ambition, and if we assume that each country will be able to achieve their target, there is quite a portion for renewable energy penetration into the system from 15% up to 30%, or for maximum 45%. But still, the majority is coming from the traditional hydrocarbons. To many reasons, some is to really to have a reliable power system, and to some context is also to cope with the economic development. But it doesn't stop the countries to move towards the decarbonization in various sectors that they have it. For example, the Indonesia will aim to have aspiration to reduce the energy consumption in industrial sector, or in residential sector, or in the supply side, trying to enhance the efficiency of the power plant so that they'll be able to also reduce the energy consumption. But here you can see that how the fuels changing between one scenario with the another scenario. We will see there is a big opportunity to reduce the oil consumption in this region. Much of it contribute because the plan that several countries to introduce more biofuels, like in Indonesia or Malaysia and Thailand, and also with a reduction of the coal and natural gas. and then it's being replaced with having renewable energy coming on board into the power system. Then, as also mentioned by Ronnie earlier, that eventually this will help us to reduce the GHG emission that mostly contribute coming from the fossil fuels. For your information, or many of you already know that 70% of the GHG emission in this region, and also a similar figure at the global level, is coming from the energy sector. And as we are not looking not only individual countries, the effort at the regional level is expected also to help the region move with its decarbonization to low carbon economy. At regional levels, all 10 countries aiming to achieve 23% of the renewable energy share in the energy mix. It is similar with the target that Indonesia has on having to achieve renewable energy target as well in energy mix by 2025. But the situation also similar, that today is only around 13%. So it's still 10% gaps between what the Asean cumulatively wants to achieve with the target that should be achieved in the next 4 years down the road. So it's quite a significant target that aim to be achieving, and it will be very difficult if the countries is continually to act as a standalone individually, but there is opportunity to accelerate if the countries can work together as an integrated system. And one of it through the ASEAN power grids. Perhaps some of you is also familiar with this ASEAN power grids. It's a corporation that initiated to establish the cross-border interconnection between all of the 10 countries. In theoretical, to connect all the infrastructure of the electricity from Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore to the Indonesia, as well as the Philippines. So that's a utopia dream, but we recognize there is a governmental challenge. But the idea is how to utilize the renewable energy resource that can benefit not only for that particular countries, but also for the other countries. If colleagues is reading the news for the last 2 days at the Singapore International Energy Weeks, the Minister has also witnessed kind of agreement to produce renewable energy from Batam, Sumatra to be connected to Singapore. So this is kind of idea to having interconnection where countries which have more renewable energy resource can utilize it for the benefit of not only that particular countries, but also other countries in the region. So eventually it can help the region achieve their energy transition better. And it's now become a hot topic discussion for many governments around the world, because in the coming days there will be COP26 in Glasgow, UK, on the aspiration to leapfrogging this decarbonization, on the possibility moving into a net zero. So we the modeling that we projected in the slide earlier expected we will able to only reduce the emission 50%, because there is much of the issue we have in the power sectors as the largest carbon dioxide emitters, transport sector, which is now we still heavily use the gasoline car, and the industrial sectors, many of them is very, very challenging to be decarbonized. However, there is many interest at the countries levels, Indonesia to go a net zero, the aspiration 2070s, or even some finding suggestion we can do much earlier. Malaysia, Singapore is also aims to halve the emission target, and Thailand, and not only by the government, but also many companies, starting with the PLN that also pledged the carbon neutrality by 2050s, Petronas Malaysia is also set the net zero emission, or private companies like Gojek, which also aims to achieve net zero emission. So there is a significant aspiration to move toward this direction. And the government, some government is also pledged to no longer build new coal-fired plant. The comprehensive national energy policy will be introduced to provide a long-term strategic directive to support this aspiration towards the carbon neutral nation. So a cleaner electricity generation will be implemented to the, for example, the operation of the gas power plant to replace the fossil coal power plant, and then eventually move to renewable energy power plant. And this is some updates as moderator mentioned about so what's happened in last year or recent development. So this is from our publication, the ASEAN Power Update that was released in September last month. So in 2020, all of 10 countries in this region, IMS stands for the ASEAN member states, have a total cumulative installed power capacity around 285 gigawatts. And Indonesia, of course, the biggest chunk of that, having around 25% from this total capacity is Indonesia. So 3 countries alone, Indonesia, Vietnam, Thailand is already account for 66% of the total capacity. But then coal is the major fuels that we have today, with gas coming in the second, and then we have hydro, and then this 3 is around 80% of the total power capacities in 2020. But the interesting thing that I would like to share is last year, when the world is crumbling with the COVID-19 pandemic, everyone is, as mentioned by Mr. Moderator, that the economy went down, demand is went down, the CO2 emissions also went down. One fantastic record that we have in ASEAN that we'd like to share is last year, there are 22 gigawatt of the new capacity coming on board. And 82% of this new capacity is coming from renewable energy. So 82% from this 22 gigawatt was renewable. And then it included hydro, wind, some context, bioenergy, but much of it is coming from solar. If you can see in the screen that Vietnam alone is installed around 12 gigawatt last year, and much of it is coming from the solar power, and then continued by Laos, which is hydro, not only for the to supply the electricity need in Laos, but also for the region, for the Thailand or for Malaysia. And unfortunately, that Indonesia is not really good on this statistic. Last year we installed around 1.3 gigawatts capacity, but the portion of renewable energy is also very low. But on the ASEAN level, this is a massive record that we have last year when the war is coming on the COVID-19. So this is how the historical speak. On the right, that you can see that compared to the other countries, we are only much better to the Singapore and Brunei, which is small country without a very low potential of renewable energy. But compared to the other countries, it's still a long way to go for Indonesia in pushing its renewable energy. But this is not including the latest RUPTL, which is aspiring to escalate the Indonesian efforts toward more renewable energy. As I mentioned, that solar and wind, Mr. Eric mentioned that how wind has become a really king in Denmark. Somehow in ASEAN, solar is growing much for the last 5 years. But wind is also catching up in Thailand and Vietnam and the Philippines. And to some context is Indonesia also included. But this is what we have today. This is based on the latest power development of all countries, except Indonesia. We have not updated with the Indonesia RUPTL, the new one yet. But the other countries already the updated one. For the next 4 or 5 years, countries will still continue, all countries in the region continue to install 20 gigawatt coal, try to retiring 66 gigawatt oil, but adding 5 gigawatt gas. But 60% of that will be coming from renewable energy. And perhaps Mr. Eric will also like it. Wind will be a major contribution that we're going to be installed in this region for the next 4 or 5 years. Then continue with the solar, geothermal, bioenergy, and other resources. So this is where we have at the ASEAN level, and then we hope to do the aspiration to move continuously toward renewable energy in the region. That will be my last slide. Happy to have a discussion later. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Benny. And seems like it's getting interesting for today's discussion. But before you guys, ladies and gentlemen, you want to your question will be answered. You can write your question on the chat column, and later on we will answer your question. Okay, for the last panelist, our host director, Mr. Yosi Noval, will be present about the strategy renewable energy in Indonesia and also in PT Pembangkitan Jawa Bali. Mr. Yosi, time is yours, please.
Thank you, Pak Indratno. Good day, everybody. Good afternoon for all conference audience, especially for our honorable speaker today, Mr. Eric and Mr. Benny. It's a great honor for me to speak and discuss with you together. In this occasion, I will explain about the PJB commitment, how the program and support for the energy transition in Indonesia. Next. First, I will explain about the PJB. PJB is a power generating company. We are subsidiary of PLN. PLN is a national electricity company owned by government. Now we own around 7,000 megawatts electricity scattered in all Indonesian areas, and also we operate and install around 21 megawatts. From all of that, we have 14,600 green megawatts capacity, and now we build around 655 megawatts for the hydro. Next. First, the introduction. Next. Okay, I'll explain the PLN program for the decarbonization. PLN already declared the commitment for the decarbonization. First, there are no new coal power plants built after 2022. And second, the renewable energy mix will be 23% in 2025. And third, there will full phase out in all of Indonesia at 2066, and the neutral carbon will be active in 2060. Next. Next, please. Electricity planning in Indonesia, we call it at RUPTL. Yeah, we have 10 years planning. We just declare the new planning 2021 to 2030. Our previous planning for the renewable energy is around 29.6% in 2028. Now the program increased to be 51.6%. As you can show in this chart, there are no new coal-fired power plant will be built starting from 2028. Yeah, and most of all will be renewable. Next. Yeah, for energy mix projection in our UPTL, first our strategic program is the develop of geothermal power plant around 1.4 gigawatts and hydro around 4.2 gigawatts. And the second program is desalination program from the fuel oil to be solar, yeah, around 500 megawatts. And the third, we will build a solar power plant, solar PV around 4.7 gigawatts. Also for the wind energy around 0.6 gigawatts. The fourth program is we will configure our steam power plant from coal to be biomass power plant with our target around 10% of all coal-fired plant in Jawa Bali will be replaced by biomass and 20% in out of Jawa Bali. And the next is Indonesia will build a renewable energy baseload power plant for the year 2025. Next. Okay, next is the program of PJB itself. Our director commit and support for the electricity plan of Indonesia and PLN. And we have our commitment to be terbesar, terhijau, and terdepan, or we can call it the biggest, the greenest, and as a leader in renewable energy implementation. Our program is to build the PV solar hybrid power plant, also implement the floating solar cell, and also rooftop for industrial, and also for wind and hydro. Next. In PLN, the program for the green transformation, we call it Green Booster. Our main idea in Green Booster is biomass co-firing, hybrid for diesel power plant, implement solar PV, and multi-purpose hydro power plant. The program already launched since 2 years ago. So it's an ongoing program, and we do together with the LN also in this program. Right? PJB also supporting the program of the Gerakan Langit Biru, or you can say is Blue Sky campaign and electrifying lifestyle. We campaign about the electricity vehicle, electricity stove, and so on. We also built a charging station in many areas. Thank you. Next. Next, our program of biomass implementation. In 2017, we aware about the green program, or the follow-up of UNDCC, UNFCC program, Paris Agreement for COP21, and so on. And we also know our potential in renewable energy, especially in biomass in Indonesia. So at that time, the first project is our biomass replacement of the coal-fired power plant. Next. Next, please. Once more. PJB implement biomass in our coal power plant. We starting in 2017. We study the potential of biomass implementation. We gain a discussion with the university, with the company, other company, and so on. And we continue it with the implementation, testing, simulation, and so on. And in 2020, we declare about the implementation of co-firing, and we become a pioneer implementation in Indonesia. Next. Also, we study about the potential of biomass feedstock. What kinds of biomass that we can use in our power plant? How many the calorie value and the potential availability in our area. Next. For implementation, we do it very carefully. We have 4 steps for implementation, starting from technology reviewing, survey and laboratory testing, to the numeric simulation, and also the testing of implementation. So after we confidence for implementation, we declare and go live for the first time at 10 of June 2020. Next. Our program for implementation of co-firing next become the adopted to become PLN program. Now PLN implemented in 52 power plants. Out of that, PJB implement in 20 of our power plants. Yeah. The plus point of our biomass program is we do it without additional capital expenditure. So with minimum investment, we can implement the biomass conversion in our power plant. Next. And also to support that, we build our plantation for the feedstock in our area, in community area, and so on. Also, we discuss with the government to support the feedstock in all of the power plant in Indonesia. Next. Our next program is we do the research. We have a research center. We have the 3 programs for our research center. First, how to core optimizing, or how to optimize our existing power plant. 2 programs that we do is first the biomass co-firing conversion, and second for coal switching program. The coal switching, we we changed our coal-fired plant from the high caloric value to the low caloric value. The second program is our renewable energy program. In this program, we have many programs in here. First, we built the research center for solar PV implementation. We have around 1 megawatt in Cirata. Second, we also have a research center for wind turbine hybrid with the PV, wind, and also for the battery. The third, also how to operate and maintenance and assess the solar PV. The next is our hydro program, and also how to converting the biomass for the diesel small engine for de-dieselization program. The third program is our electric vehicle. Yeah, we support the PLN for this. I'll explain in detail about our research center. We have two research centers. First in western of Java in Ciheras, Tasik, and second in eastern Java in Tulung Agung. At that area, we built our own design. Our wind turbine, our PV. Also, we built how to operate and controlling the hybrid model of the third power plant system. Right? This is our mobile model of the biomass gasifier, mobile gasifier. We make it mobile. So inside of this, there is a diesel engine. There is a gasifier module. So we make it dual firing for the engine. It can use the solar or fuel and also mix with the syngas from the biomass. Next. In our research center for solar PV in Cirata, we starting in 2015. We have 1 megawatt. At that area, we do many, for example, for the PV technology. At the area, we implement thin film and other crystalline or polycrystalline. We make comparison of that. Also, we research about the battery and also any others program in that area. Next. Also, we implement the PV rooftop in all our power plant area. Now we already implement around the 4 megawatt that we installed. So this power that is generated can reduce the internal usage of our power. Right? And starting from that research, now we build Cirata floating power for solar PV. The capacity around 145 megawatt. This is the first time in Indonesia and also will be the biggest in ASEAN area. Okay, next for the hydropower plant, we have a plan also to build the Batang Toru power plant, the capacity around 500 megawatts, yeah, located in North Sumatra. It will be now being construction. We hope in 2024 it will be finished. The Batang Toru Hydro have a plus point that this is the runoff river power plant. Yeah, the area that we use is very small compared to the existing or other hydropower plant. For example, this is Waduk Jatiluhur. To generate around 150 megawatt, it uses around 8,000 hectares of area. But in our area, for producing 510 megawatt, the space that we use only is 66 hectares. Next. So that's our presentation. For the last, I can show you that our program is also matched with the program that Ministry of Economic and Trade from Japan that is planning for Indonesian zero emission program that Indonesia should implement. The most program is for renewable energy. We do it this program, and next is energy efficiency. We do it by digitalization of power plant. We do it with the implement the ultra supercritical power plant and so on. And the third action to do the conversion or dedigitalization, also co-firing that we are now doing. And for the future, maybe we can study about the implementation of nuclear power plant and carbon capture. That's our last presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Yosi, for your presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed to the Q&A session, this is Mrs. Chita Dewi, EVP Planning and Engineering for Renewable Energy of PT PLN, just recently joined us. Assalamualaikum and very good afternoon, Madam Chita. Do you like to present some presentation for today, or we just proceed for the Q&A session?
Okay, it's up to you. Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, before I just join. Good afternoon, Pak Yosi, Pak Yosi, Bapak Ibu Direksi, teman-teman semua ini PJB, DIE.
Thanks for coming, kita.
Halo, maaf ya ini saya. Halo, jelas suaranya Pak? Mohon maaf.
Iya, jelas Bu.
Oke Pak Ibratno, jadi saya bisa langsung ini?
Yeah, you can proceed for your presentation. It's about 12 minutes from now.
12 minutes?
Time
Okay,
is yours.
thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you everyone. Let me start the presentation related to energy transition to renewable energy. Thank you. Before to PJB already invite us PLN as the speaker for today's event. We understand that the objective of today's discussion perhaps has been highlighted before from the previous presentation that I joined. Also, Pak Yosi already mentioned about the PLN intention, PLN step to do the carbonization. But I would like to give a glance foundation what is we are going to do and what we are going to be there and how we are going to achieve the renewable energy target and how is the implementation of our UPTL that we already know that it is already issued in the beginning of October. As we understand that the energy security and climate change mitigation are the main drive for energy transformation and from fossil to renewable energy. Therefore, PLN position related to decarbonization are first, it is already written here. PLN is one of the first Asian power companies to commit to the aspiration of net zero emission. And then also, in order to achieve the net zero, PLN needs to balance various important goals, such as implication, energy trilemma, GDP contribution. And also, PLN conduct a gas house green emission inventory as a baseline to achieve the net zero emission target. PLN also trying to improve power generation efficiency and participates in emission trading system. And also we are utilizes incentive from carbon credit and renewable energy credit certificate to support the development of net zero emission. As Pak Yosi have already explained about this, and let me skip this one. And then for this one, related to the electricity demand condition, we understand that based on the current RUPTL that it already issued in the beginning of October, and it is also PLN intention to achieve the carbon neutral in 2060. Talking about the medium and long-term plans up to 2060, we know that it is projected there will be additional renewable energy up to 230 gigawatt. It was mentioned here as well that right now in 2020, it is even based on the previous RUPTL, it is projected the national energy production per day is 300 terawatt hour, but due to the pandemic and others conditions, the achievement is only around 250 terawatt hours. There is a gap there, but right now what we are trying to do is how to achieve in 2060, because PLNs also have a 35 gigawatt project, which is still dominated by fossil fuel, which is 21 gigawatt, considering that the project was designed previous in 2015 and will operate it until the end. We know that several of this project is still under construction, and the COD will be achieved next year, starting from 2022, and then 2024, 25, 26. That's the target of COD for the previous fossil fuel. But starting from the RUPTL, which is already signed, there will be no more new fossil fuel will be entered, especially for the coal fire that will be entered into a new contract. And then we understand that the projected energy production in 2060 around 1,800 terawatt hour, with the assumption of annual growth 4.6%. There is still a gap around 1,380 terawatt hour. Means there is a big gap which should be filled with the renewable energy generator. So we can imagine that based on the RUPTL, there is a potential renewable energy development around 20 gigawatt. And then up beyond 2030, there is a huge potential of renewable energy to be developed around 230 gigawatt. Talking about the energy transition to renewable energy, like today's topic, we already highlight some driver who related to the transition. First, we understand that there is a Paris Agreement there, and then based on the Paris Agreement, the government has assigned PLN to achieve renewable energy mix of 23% by 2025. Besides, it is an obligation for PLN, but PLN understand it is not just only for obligation, but it is PLN's responsibility to give next generation a better and green energy. That's why our effort is how to fulfill the Paris Agreement in accordance with the government regulation. And then the second driver is renewable energy economics, and technology performance. We understand that the development of renewable energy is really connected to the innovation, really connected to the technology. And we understand that based on the current condition, especially for the intermittent such as PV and wind turbine, there is a massive development of the technology which will lead the impact on the tariff. That's why the condition right now, innovation and technology have led to a reduction in tariff for renewable energy. In the future, if we are talking related to PV and wind turbine as an intermittent, and then we can see the reduction in tariff. Previously in 2015, which PLN already cut before, the tariff is around 25 cents. But by 2020, what the PJB and master already achieved is 5 cents. It means that there is a reduction around 15% annually. It is a very good condition for PLN, especially in this condition right now. But we understand that based on the future RUVTL, there is a big possibility to develop PV around 4.6 gigawatt. Means that we hope that the innovation is always there. So we will cut the more competitive tariff. And then if we understand that current sounding, even in Indonesia or even in Malaysia, the PV tariff can compete right now around 4 or even less than 4 cents per kilowatt hour. How about the energy storage? Because right now we got a problem here. The energy storage, especially battery as an energy storage technology, we still have not a competitive tariff because the competition is still there. We hope that in the future, the energy storage can compete, especially when it is treated as a base load together with the PV. So we do really hope that the PJB can also involve the development of the technology for energy storage, which will be increasingly developing and cheaper and getting more cheaper, that it will be able to overcome the intermittent impact of solar PV and wind turbine. And then what is the PLN breakthrough initiative relating to this condition? Sure, even PLN right now already have a mapping for the transition to renewable energy, mapping the transition to carbon neutral to 2060. But right now, PLN still preparing a roadmap for the energy transition from fossil to renewable energy. Then the transition process provide technical and economic benefit. Even are made through unlocking the potential of coal-fired power plant to update funding that will be utilized to meet renewable energy in the future. This slide is talking about how is the condition of renewable energy development based on RUVTL. Sure, the participant here already understand what is the target for 2030. It is already mentioned that right now the RUVTL, especially for
Madam Chita, I think your slide is not moving.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
it is already moving.
It's still the same as before, or the one that you explained just now.
This one, the title is NRE Development 2021. Is it already moving?
No.
Not yet.
Yeah, it's the decarbonization.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Okay, it's good now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
So you missed some pages. Yeah, it's okay. Never mind. I will share later. Okay, it is talking about the renewable energy development based on RUVTL, that we sure that all the colleagues already heard about what is next based on a new RUPTL that we understand renewable energy takes the big portion, around 51.6%. And then also, how is the portion of renewable energy? We know that 20 gigawatt of renewable energy will be conducted under IPP scheme, which is around 56% or 11.8 gigawatt. And then right now, what is the condition of PLN right now? In 2021, the renewable energy capacity is still 8 gigawatt. And by 2021, we have a target 475 megawatt of new project will be achieved its COD by this December. Hopefully it will be smooth. And then by this, that by August, the energy mix is still 12.6%. But it is in line with the RUPTL target. We know based on the RUPTL, the energy mix by 21, 22, 23, 24 is still around 12 something. But after the 24th, the achievement will be increased till 23%. That is a big challenge for us, not only for PLN group, but for all, also for the stakeholder, also how to achieve the energy mix, not only from the supply side, but we all together shall also insist how to increase the demand side as well. It is a challenging target. We understand that, therefore, we have several strategies to encourage the penetration of RE Indonesia. And we are going to focus this one with internally as well, how to achieve this one, how to implement the project which is already stated in the RUPTL. It is our homework right now. And then hopefully we are going to achieve this target with the support of the government as well, the stakeholder, and also institution. And then we are talking how is the target to achieve the target of 2025. It is mentioned before that the RE development will be around 20.9 gigawatt. And how to achieve the 23% by 2025. We take some project which should be achieve the target of COD by 2025 is around 6.9 gigawatt, which is under IPP project. Means that if 2025 shall achieve 6 gigawatt, that's we should conduct the procurement, we should conduct the preparation started from now. So hopefully the next year, then all the project will be in line with the targeted as mentioned in the RUPTL. And then also there is a note we have. We understand right now that the condition of electricity system right now is oversupply due to new fossil power plant is going to achieve its COD by next year. So that's why we have to harmonize the supply demand based on the supply, based on the demand needs to achieve the number of this target. But at least that we want to give a figure how is the condition in Jawa, Madura, Bali, Sumatra, Kalimantan, Sulma, Panna. Even the condition right now, we understand that the reserve margin for each island, each biggest island is right now is more than 40%. That's the challenges for us. We are not only thinking about, we are not discussing about how to have an additional supply, but we have to do together to how to increase the demand. It is the important point. And then others things that PLN already conduct to achieve the transformation. We know that we already know that co-firing is one of strategic program in increasing energy mix. and reducing greenhouse gas emission through the utilization of energy transition and pellet as a substitution of coal in our existing coal-fired plant. We thank you for PJB and also PJBS who already support PLN's program, who already accelerate, who already concentrate how to achieve, how to implement the target. We really appreciate this. We hope that all program that we already achieved together will be sustained. And then right now we have a very big homework. The big homework how to have sustainability of the biomass, which we understand that it is the priority. This is the priority how to get the availability of biomass for the sustainability of coal firing program. That's why right now PLN already have a cooperation with the SOA in order to have a guarantee on biomass supply. And also beside cooperation with the SOA, we also try to utilize dry land, and we also try to have utilization of dry land by having a cooperation with in IPB. Right now we are still studying. Hopefully end of this year it is already completed, so then we can have a pilot project for this one. And then also utilization of waste pellet in some of the power plant in Lombok, NTT, and also Lontar. And then it is the last one, part of PLN program to energy transition, that we understand right now some area in scattered area it is still supplied by diesel power plant, and PLN have around for 5,200 units of diesel power plant spread over 2,000 locations. And it is based on the current planning, it is going to be converted in 3 models. First, converted to renewable energy. It is around 588 megawatt of diesel plant. So the conversion to renewable energy only 588 megawatt of existing diesel plant, while the rest will be converted or will be replaced by gas fuel and also connected to the grid. And then how is the implementation of the first stage? The first stage for 200 location, we have a finalization here today, and then we are going to have the bidding. Hopefully the beginning of next year it will be issued. Then we understand it is a very complex, it is very challenging because it is scattered very small capacity. That's why to attract the investor, to attract the economic size, and also the investor to have visibility, a good visibility condition, we are going to conduct this by clustering for several locations. I thought it is done all the presentation. Thank you, Pak Indratno. It's yours.
Thank you so much for the impressive presentation, Madam Chita. Now it's time for us to have the Q&A session, and the committee already select 2 because due to the time limit also for today's discussion. For the first question is question to Mr. Eric from Mr. Danang Cipto. Mr. Eric, could you describe the daily load curve in Denmark? Is for the first. And the second question is about typical problem of variable renewable energy is about the intermittency, in particular for wind and solar. How can Denmark deal with this problem, particularly regarding the current and future daily load curve? That's maybe you can answer right now, Mr. Eric.
Sure, thank you for those good questions. Allow me to just show you one of the slides in my presentation where the load curve is is included here. So this is essentially the load curve for 7 days of a week. You can see the weekdays, Monday through Friday, have a higher load here. So the top of that curve is the total demand for electricity. And then the generation mix is shown below in different colors. And the reason for this, why is this working? How can we maintain balance here? That is a combination of very careful planning of dispatch. Forecasting, system operation is crucial, as also are the interconnection capacity and the marketplace where we sell and buy electricity to maintain balance. It's a rather complicated thing to understand when there's a market attached to it, but essentially the market reflects supply and demand, of course, here. So I hope that answers very briefly the question. I'm very happy to go deeper into this when time allows, but it is really a little bit complicated to understand the function of the market. The second question was?
Yes.
Could you repeat the second question, please?
The second question is about the typical problem of variable renewable energy. How can the Denmark deal with this problem, particularly regarding the current and future daily load curve?
Yeah, I don't like to call renewable energy like wind and solar for intermittent, because it is really forecastable. It is predictable if you do it right. With the right tools and methodology, you can predict pretty well what the next hour's generation will be. And then you need a very dynamic set of tools to make sure that you maintain the balance in the system. But it can be done, and we are showing that through very, very low disconnection rate in our system, as talked about before. So it's doable, it's achievable with the right tools. Yeah, I think that is the short answer to it. I would be happy to also go more deep into it when time allows.
Okay, all right. Hopefully it will answer the question from Mr. Danang Cipto. And for the last question from the participants, the committee already selected from Mr. Safiuddin. Question to Madam Chita Dewi. What is the plan for the retired power plant after PLN implemented renewable energy program as the most energy in Indonesia? Madam Chita, maybe you can answer this question.
Indratno.
Yes.
This is the plan for retired power plant after PLN implemented. Okay. Even I do not give illustration how is the PLN transition program, but at least at the glance we already mentioned that right now PLN is still preparing the detail of the roadmap to achieve the carbon neutral by 2060. We understand that right now the power plant is already there. Our fossil power plant is already there. We know that the existing capacity, total capacity of all even renewable and fossil is around 63 gigawatt. The majority is still of fossil, renewable only 8 gigawatt. But to conduct the implementation of RUPTL, which is the majority of renewable energy, we should understand the condition right now. We cannot just replace the existing fossil, because we know that we already commit to the investor as well. We already commit to the lender, which is belong to PLN as well. So that's why we have to fulfill, we have to abide all the contractual condition which is already agreed before. But for this, PLN already prepared and we already commit how to achieve the carbon neutral by some stages. This is PLN in general. We have a dream that beyond 2030, PLN will begin to retire old and subcritical generation. And then it is in stages, 2030, then 2035, 2040. It will be replaced by around 1 gigawatt of base load, and also another renewable energy plant based on its demand as well. But at least we understand that all the replacement of fossil power plant will be end after the expiration of each PPA. So means that we are not going to terminate or something like that. No, we have to obey because it is already there. We already commit to the lender and also to fulfillment of the PPA. So the end, the total condition right now till after 2055, then all PPA already end up. That's the overall condition. So we are going to implement renewable energy power plant by stages, because we know first the demand right now is not going well. Hopefully after the pandemic there will be a good demand growth. And then second, we know that the supply side right now it is already there, means that the reserve margin is biggest right now, so they have to balance with the supplies as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Madam Chita, for your answer. Hopefully it will answer the question from Mr. Safyuddin. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, due to the time limit also, we already approaching our end of the discussion for today. And I would like to say thank you to all panelists for coming and give us some particular information regarding the energy transition from fossil to renewable energy. And for the closing, I would like to hand over this to Ms. Fania. Ms. Fania.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Indratno. Okay, thank you very much for the speakers and moderator, Mr. Indratno. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived at the end on the event. We would like to thank all of the speakers who have given us their knowledge, and the moderators who have led the activity smoothly. Thank you very much. Hopefully, every information and knowledge that we get today will be useful for all of us. And thank you all for the participants for attending this conference. The committee will contact the lucky winner or participant to get the prize. And on behalf of the committee from the organizer, we want to apologize if there are any lack or some mistakes, and everyone who felt uncomfortable during the activity. Thank you for coming, and see you in the next conference. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you.